Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Ed. Today I'm going to show you how to make Obi Wan's lightsaber from Star Wars Episode 1. So go grab a pen and paper because I'm going to show you the list of tools and materials that you will need to make the saber happen. So let's get started. For your aluminum tubing here, I have 12 inches length of 1.75 inch diameter with a .083 wall tube and 24 inches of 1.375 inch with a .035 tube here. 12 inches long each of 1 inch and 1.25 inch white Schedule 40 PVC pipe. 12 inches long each of chromed 1.25 and 1.5 inch extension tubing. A toilet tank overflow tube. I also have here a 3/8 by 3/8. You can get it 12 inches long here, square bar. Mine is 3 feet long, but this is all I can find. It could be aluminum or steel. A package of toilet bowl caps. Could be white or ivory, it doesn't matter. 5 half-inch barrel of escutcheons. A package of 7/8 outer diameter escutcheon. 4 packages, or about 12 1.25 inch rubber slip joint washers. 1 package, or 2 1.25 inch poly slip joint washers. RG59 twist-on F connectors, the gold kind. Package of lockup caps. Number 6 by half-inch long self-tapping screws. Package of 6 30-seconds by half-inch long recessed screws. Culvert Tech clip. A package of 8 30-seconds button socket cap screws. You're also going to need some tape, ruler, marker or pencil, scissors. Also going to need 6 30-seconds and 8 30-seconds taps. For safety, glasses, gloves, hearing protection. For your tools, going to need a drill bit set, a hacksaw, a cordless or power drill, plastic friendly epoxy, and I found this, it may be helpful later but we're going to see, the West System number 807 syringes, a Dremel kit with a flex shaft, and you will also need the Dremel reinforced cutoff wheels, a 1-inch belt 5-inch disc sander. For your paint, you can use the Rust-Oleum Silver, Gloss Black, and Clear Coat paints, but I'm going to try something new. I'll be using the Kilocans Killer Chrome paint here. It's supposed to give a nice chrome effect to spray it onto any kind of surface. So I'll be using the clear, the jet black, and the chrome paint itself. So I'm going to give this a try. It's supposed to give a really nice chrome effect to my lightsaber. Now that we have all of our tools and materials that we are going to need to make our saber, please watch the entire production of this video, so in case I missed something that you can write it down and make any notes of it. Also remember, safety is very important, so please be sure to wear your gloves, hearing protection, and eye protection whenever you're cutting or sanding. So now that we have everything, let's get started. The first thing we're going to get started with here is our handle for our Obi Wan saber. Earlier in the year I went to my machinist and I cut off a piece of my 1.375 inch aluminum tube and I gave him a sample of my 1-inch PVC pipe here. Now with the inner diameter of the aluminum tube and the outer diameter of the PVC pipe here, you know, it's almost a close fit, but not exactly. So what he did was he machined it down so where it would have a nice slide in, slide out here, of my aluminum tube without any binding, so I wouldn't have any problems when I put my saber together. Now, it's not really necessary to machine it, but what you can do is, you go to your local hardware store, you can get a sanding block, and with 60 grit and 100 grit sandpaper, take your PVC pipe, lay it down on the table, with the 60 grit sandpaper, sand it down, get it down to a nice diameter so where that it will fit inside your pipe, and finish off the edges and the pipe itself with 100 grit sandpaper so that you have a nice clean edge here on your PVC pipe. Now on your 1.375 inch aluminum tube here, take a ruler, measure 5 3/4 up from the edge, and give a pencil mark, because you're going to cut off any excess with your Dremel tool. And where you made your mark, you will have to trim off the excess aluminum tubing here for your handle. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a piece of paper, I'm wrapping it around my aluminum tube here, right up to my mark. And once I get my lines all straight, I'm going to tape the paper right onto my aluminum tubing, making sure that all of my edges are nice and straight. When I'm cutting off the excess on my aluminum tubing, I'm cutting just on the edge of the paper, keeping my measurement of 5 3/4 inches. Once the excess is cut off, deeper the edges of your aluminum tube. Now that we have our handle here cut the proper size, take your 1 3/4 inch diameter aluminum tube here. If you find a good end here, it's perfect. If not, use my paper method in my last step. Cut off close towards the edge, discard this piece, and deeper one of the edges. From here, you're going to measure 1 1/16 inches up from the bottom. Again, wrap the paper around, tape it to the tube, and cut off with the Dremel. And again, I'm measuring on the outside of my paper, keeping my 1 1/16 inch measurement. Once the edge has been cut off, I find that a sanding drum for the Dremel works the best on deburring all of your edges. Once you have this piece cut, put it aside. Alright, now that we have our two pieces here made here for our saber, we have the handle, and this is the bottom ring here towards our pommel section. What you're going to do next is take 2 of your 1/2 inch bell escutcheons, and what you're going to do is you're going to measure a 1/4 inch up on both of these from the bottom up, and then make a mark. Once you have your mark, make a line all the way around. Then once you have that line complete, measure 5/16 of an inch up from that line, make a mark, and then make another line all the way around. In case if you couldn't see my markings on my escutcheon, here's what your marks should look like now. Now when you cut them out with your Dremel, cut just on the outside of your marker here of your escutcheon so that you won't have any mess ups when you're making the bottom end of your saber. Now I already pre-made one here. So, being on my 1.375 and my 1 3/4 aluminum tube here, this is a pre-made escutcheon that I have already made. You can see that it fits very nicely here on my 1.375 aluminum tube here, that there are no gaps here. It fits just nice, and on my 1 1/16 cut piece here from my 1 3/4 aluminum tube, you can see that the escutcheon sits very nicely on the aluminum tube here. It does not overlap. If it is in the camera, then it's not set into place right. But you do not want these edges overlapping or showing over this piece here. You want them to sit as flush as they can on this aluminum tube. Once you make your cuts, trial fit your escutcheon on every time just to see how much you will have to take off. Once you get an estimate, keep sanding until you have the right measurement. This escutcheon has to fit with a little snug fit on your aluminum pipes, so this way that they should not move at all. Remember, keep trimming until they are of nice size. Once you get the right measurement down, use your sanding drum for your Dremel and deburr your edges. Making sure all my ends are flush, that they look pretty neat. Any of these gaps here can be filled in later. Right now we're going to temporarily assemble the bottom of our saber just to get an idea what it looks like. Take your 2 1/4 inch poly slip joint washers and place them over your 1 3/75 aluminum tube here. Note the position that I have them here in. You don't have to keep them like this, but I like to just for the formation of the saber. The best way I can find to get these rings on here on the tube is to find a heat source, kind of soften them up, and then work them over the tube here. Otherwise they are rather snug when you put them on cold. So, once you get them on here, just keep them close to the bottom. Take one of your rings, bring it up to it. Take your bottom body tube, place it over. You can see that it does have a little wiggle, but it's no big deal. Place it up to your ring. Take the bottom ring and assemble it right onto there. Now, this gives you an idea of what the saber is going to start to look like here. I'm very happy with the cuts here. No problems at all. They're nice in transition into the bottom body ring here. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with this right now. Now, in Obi Wan saber, there is a dip section here in this ring right here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to fill in the inside of this ring here, and we're going to have to cut and trim this.